Why does 1 hour of TikTok feel like it never happened, but 1 hour of Minecraft or Overwatch can feel like a win? Both hit dopamine, but one hands you tiny thrills you forget, the other makes you earn it with decisions, teamwork and problem solving. Gaming is 100 times better than scrolling on social media, but it's not the top of the ladder. I'll show you the psychology of passive versus active, why earned dopamine feels different, and how games build a real connection, and a simple way to turn your playtime into creative output tonight. If you ever closed an app feeling empty or closed a game and feeling proud, this will make sense. Passive versus active interaction. The core difference between social media and gaming is that one is passive consumption and the other one is an active consumption. If you're scrolling Instagram or TikTok, that's passive. Your thumb moves, but your brain doesn't have to. If you're gaming, that's active. You're constantly reacting and solving. When you only watch, studies find your mood dips. Passive use is tied to more comparison, envy, and lower self-esteem. You usually step away feeling worse and not better. You just want more. Now look at games. Even a chill Minecraft session is a chain of choices. You have to think about where do I build and how do I make this far more efficient. In Factorio, you're debugging a factory in real time with a lack of resources and power outages. For Overwatch, you make split-second reads and time your ultimates with your teammates. That's an active load. Your attention is engaged and you get immediate feedback. That fix worked and that flank didn't. Instead of being a spectator, you become the protagonist. And it changes how you feel afterwards. Passive feeds leave you tired and weirdly empty. You're overstimulated but undersatisfied. Meanwhile, active play pushes you toward flow. A challenged match to skill, clear goals and instant feedback leave you with a real story. Like, we held last point for 5 minutes in overtime. Or, we finally fixed the copper bottleneck. Feeds are infinite by design. Think short-form content. There's no finish line or closure. On the other hand, games are built around loops with goals and signals. You have the next wave, the next checkpoint and the next goal. The progress is visible and that alone shifts your mood. Although there is another part to this. How you use social media matters. When it's purely lurking, well-being drops. But when it's active, like messaging a friend or posting something meaningful, you can soften the hit because you're actually engaging. But most of us don't do that for hours. We just scroll. So the lesson is, are you doing something that demands you? Gaming usually does. Passive feeds usually don't. Sure, both mean sitting, but cognitively they're different. Passive scrolling is just low effort novelty hits. Active play is constant micro problems and decisions. Your brain's actually working and not just idling in some sort of consume mode. In practice, that looks like hundreds of tiny choices a minute. Input to feedback to adjusting. That loop is why a 2-hour gaming block can feel spent well, and a 2-hour scroll can feel spent on nothing. The dopamine hook. Both gaming and social media are dopamine machines. There's no doubt about that. But one asks you to earn it and the other one gives you a tiny hit and then says, want another one? Feeds run on a variable reward schedule, like a slot machine. Maybe the next clip is hilarious, maybe it's nothing. That maybe keeps you hooked. Short-term, studies show that passive scrolling is linked to worse mood, more stress, and that hollow, time-wasted feeling. Long-term, habitual passive use correlates with higher depression and loneliness. It's lots of novelty, but no lasting satisfaction. Games use the same chemistry, but they route it through effort and feedback. In Overwatch, that windscreen hits because you did things. You timed abilities, ults, and did your job. The dopamine arrives after competence, which makes it a real earned outcome. In Minecraft, finding diamonds is exploration, risk, and planning. And then the sparkle. Micro wins stack into visible progression. You get better tools, safer bases, and bigger ideas. In Factorio, fixing a belt choke gives you a tiny high and a lesson. Throughput climbs, the science packs flow, and the tech unlocks. The brain gets dopamine plus a model of why it worked. So you get two flavors of dopamine. You can either get found dopamine from feeds, short highs, quick crashes, and no memory of what actually happened. Or you can get earned dopamine from games, with small wins that stack, clear progress, and a story that you can actually retell later. As said, feeds are infinite by design. Games are finite loops with goals, feedback, and closure. That structure turns chemicals into motivation instead of just stimulation. That's why research finds that passive social media use can predict dips in momentary well-being, while games can leave players feeling more focused and less stressed. When your brain can see progress, a rank badge or a finished build, dopamine becomes a signal to keep going. not just a slight nudge to keep scrolling. But it's also about people. Because once you earn those highs together, the connection feels different. Real versus fake connection. Both gaming and social media promise connection, but the kind of connection is very different. On Instagram or TikTok, most of what we call connection is validation. It's likes, a heart emoji, or a view count. It feels social, but it's often one way. You watch while they perform. You compare and they keep posting. And when your use is mostly passive, just lurking, you don't build anything together. So there's nothing to anchor a real relationship. But when you do engage, like leaving a thoughtful comment or sharing your work, it softens the negative effects because you're actually participating in the conversation. But the majority of us are spending the bulk of our time scrolling. Games flip that. A good match demands interaction. In Overwatch, you're coordinating ults, helping supports, and adapting comps. You're needed. That mutual dependence, I cover you and you cover me, creates real bonding almost by accident. In Minecraft, you co-build. You go from starter hut to farms to nether hub and then to the ridiculous mega base you swore you wouldn't start. Along the way, you collect inside jokes. Someone falls in lava and someone names a cat Gizmo, and apparently that cat is now the king. Those become long-lasting memories. Even in an advanced sandbox like Factorio, connection is problem solving together. You ask, why is copper choking? Then you plan out a new assembly line and spin up more smelters. The high you get at the end is shared. We fixed it. That's a different feeling from a heart icon. Notifications are fleeting, and you forget them the next hour or tomorrow. But shared effort though leaves a story. Like the clutch C9 on that Overwatch map, or the first diamond vein in your Minecraft hardcore world. Those stories glue people together. One of them builds metrics, like views and likes. The other builds memories, moments you can point to and say, do you remember when we did that? If you're going to be on socials, push yourself to be in active mode. DM a friend instead of lurking. Post a work in progress build and ask for feedback. But when you want a connection that actually sticks, squad up. Join a co-op world. Play something that needs communication and shared goals, because games connect you to people through the content. And those shared moments, they train skills that scrolling never will. The hidden power of gaming. Here's the thing about games that we don't give them enough credit for. They're training loops. Every minute you're playing, you're going from goal to action to feedback. That does things to your brain and your mood that passive feeds just don't. Fast, decision-heavy games sharpen attention and inhibition. Your ability to focus on the signal and ignore the noise. Big studies with teens and younger players show regular gamers perform better on working memory and impulse control tasks, and even show stronger activation in attention networks on brain scans. In plain English, you get better at holding info in your mind, resisting dumb clicks, and acting on what matters. In Factorio, you're doing systems thinking. You diagnose the bottleneck, you form a hypothesis, and then test a redesign and read the feedback. That's scientific method in disguise. And it's the complete opposite of doom scrolling, which asks you for zero hypothesis and zero memory of what came before. Even Minecraft trains planning and spatial reasoning. You chunk a big idea into steps, track resources, and then you iterate. Those are executive functions, the same ones school and work rely on. Short term, gaming reliably helps you feel better. Surveys of teens and young adults show that they feel less stress and have less anxiety after a session. Why? Because games give them controllability and closure. Two things social feeds avoid on purpose. You finish a game or fix the factory. Your brain gets a tidy, you did it signal. That's why you step away from games feeling settled and from scrolling feeling unsettled. Games transform dopamine from stimulation to motivation, because the reward lands after effort. So it reinforces the behavior that got you there. Over time, those micro wins become a progress arc, or a finished mega build in Minecraft. Your brain learns when I put effort in, things improve. And that lesson sticks even off screen. Overwatch trains communication under pressure. You have to give clear callouts, timing, and role clarity. That's basically team sports, but it's digital. You learn to share mental models. I hold, you push, and then we combine our ults. It's leadership and followership in 10-second moments. You can learn project management from Minecraft without the spreadsheet. You scope your idea, you face it, get resources, and keep morale by shipping visible progress. That's how you actually finish things. Multiplayer is more than just chatting with friends. It's interdependence, because you're accountable to a squad, you negotiate roles, and you repair mistakes in real time together. Studies with teen gamers show a huge chunk play primarily to spend time with others. because the shared effort creates bonds scrolling can't. That loop to plan together, execute together, or win and learn together quietly trains humility and trust. Try getting that from a heart emoji. None of these excuses all day grinding. If it eats into sleep, movement, or real obligations, the benefits invert. The sweet spot is intentional, with time-boxed play. Enough challenge to spark growth and enough balance to keep it healthy. Think of it like a workout. Strain, recover, and get stronger. Feeds are designed to capture attention. Games are designed to convert attention to experience, with skills, friends, people, or progress. But the top of the ladder isn't gaming. The top of the ladder is creating. Actual limit of gaming. Gaming beats doom scrolling. It's active and it gives you wins. But the ceiling we don't like to admit is that it's still consumption. You're interacting inside a world someone else made. The pattern in the research is clear. Active beats passive. But if you take it one step further and it says creating beats consuming. When people make things like music, art, code, videos, mods, they report lower stress and anxiety, higher confidence, and a stronger sense of identity and purpose. You finish with a result or product you're proud of, something passive time never gives you. Gaming benefits also plateau. The first 60 to 90 minutes, your focus goes up, your stress goes down, and you feel real progress. But during hour 4, you're looping the same rewards with fewer gains. Creation breaks that plateau because the problems keep changing and the skills compound. Basically, play teaches and making compounds. Minecraft for yourself is great, but the game really comes alive when you mod it, or package a data pack, or host a server with your rules. That's the shift from a consumer to author. Now your creativity persists and exists for others. In Factorio, you already solved constraints. Turn your ideas and solutions into a mod or a one-page guide on the most efficient type of transport. Upload it. Your effort becomes reusable value for you and for the community. In Overwatch, record a review with free takeaways or make a 60-second rule tip. That's creation, distilling chaos into something clear and helpful. Games already give you earned dopamine. Win after effort. Creation adds an offered identity. You're becoming the person who ships mods, publishes guides, runs servers, and edits highlights. That identity layer is where confidence and purpose spikes for creators. A like is a metric and a win is a memory, but a shipped project is a product. It lasts and it stacks. Keep the games, but harvest them. Timebox play to 90 minutes while focus is high. Ship one output. A blueprint, a clip with your useful caption, a micro guide, a tiny data pack, a workshop scenario, whatever you find fun. Share once where your people are. Repeat weekly because small results beat perfect someday. Let's talk about why creating is the most rewarding ladder you can climb and exactly how you can start today. Why creation beats consumption. The takeaway from this video is that active beats passive and creating beats consuming. Watching makes time pass and creating makes you change. An hour of scrolling is gone. An hour of making leaves something, be it a clip, a drawing, or a data pack. That product gives you pride and closure. Two things passive feeds don't deliver. A study on young people that did anything creative showed pretty clear results on the short-term effects. They had less stress and anxiety after a session, they had higher confidence because they can point to something that they made, and they had better mood the same day because they had that feeling of I actually did something today. Creation is basically a built-in coping tool, and it scales. Every tiny project becomes a brick in your wall. It could be skills, a portfolio, and a community compounding over time. You become the person who wears a creator title. The modder, the guide maker, the builder, or the editor. That flips the script from validation to value. Instead of hoping people like you, you give them something useful. So how do you get started? Use what you already play. I started by making plugins in Minecraft because that was what I was playing at the time. But you can create an interesting custom map in Minecraft or spin up a theme server with rules you wrote. Build something cool and post a time-lapse plus a world download. That's a persistent product that you mostly own. Or when you play Factorio, create a video on how to build the most efficient assembly line for processing units. Because teaching clarifies your thinking and attracts the kind of players and people you want to work together with. Because creation hits three big needs. Autonomy, it's yours. Competence, you improved. Relatedness, people care. And scrolling rarely gives you any of those. Every product you ship makes the next one easier. Because your skills grow, your feedbacks get sharper, and motivation becomes automatic. Creating is harder. That's why it works. It gives you calm, confidence, and something that lasts. And once you taste that, consumption just feels small. In the end, there's this ladder of engagement, and where your time actually pays off. Scrolling is passive and the lowest value. Gaming is active, slightly better, but still pretty limited. But creating is the absolute top. It's the hardest, but also the most meaningful. Scrolling takes attention, gaming converts attention into experience, and creating turns experience into something that lasts. Gaming is 100 times better than social media. But if you want real fulfillment, start creating, because that is the one thing that can outlast a dopamine hit. And if you want to learn a better way to game, check out this video on how gaming has lost its meaning.